that every trader in the market knows how to define a trend, and that's a fact. Everyone in the trading space knows how to define a trend, whether using trend lines, whether using moving averages, whether using the Dow theory. Everyone knows how to define a trend, but there's a big problem. There's a very big problem. Everyone knows how to define a trend. Like now you can see that this is Euro USD market is trending to the downside. That is the first thing everyone has to know. Market is trending to the downside. Everyone can see that. But now there's a big problem. The problem is, how do you know when to get into a trade? Because knowing the direction is not enough. You must have a way of defining, how do I get inside this move? Because a downtrend has got we have expansion and pullback. Expansions, pullback. Now the next question would be, how do I know that a pullback has started, and how do I know that an expansion has started? What I mean by pullbacks is, I mean the retracement from these ones. Pullbacks are like these ones, is a pullback. Then expansion are these ones, continuations in another language. Okay, now everyone can define this, but now there's one big problem that even me myself I suffered with is, how do I know that the pullback has ended? How do I know that the pullback has started? How do I know that expansion has started? And that's a question that has taken me years to answer. But today I have good news. We are going to use data. Data will help us more. So this is Euro USD. We will be focusing on the Euro futures. Let's pull out the data and see what we have. Okay, the first thing, let's just start by testing this theory from Euro USD. Let's go to Euro USD. This is Euro future. Let's go to Euro USD. Trend is down. Okay, let's get back and see how we can know that this is a pullback, this is an expansion, and all that. Now we have got this expansions, pullback, expansion, all this move down. Let's just start from this point, because when we go further, I'll remove what we call the one side bias. Okay, let's start from this point. We look at this point, we do see this expansion, pullback, expansion, pullback, expansion. Now the question is, some people say, oh, use support and resistance, all those. Sometimes it's not, you don't know, because when using the support and resistance, you are guessing that price will turn at a given point. That's true. You are guessing that if I draw a line here, or let's say, sometimes it works. If I draw a line here, market will come to this area, then drop to the downside. Okay, good with that. So you come here and do several lines. It's working. I'm not saying that this doesn't work. It works for some people, but now let's be honest. Instead of using those support and resistance things, which work, I'm not saying that they don't work. They work sometimes. It's a better way you can do this. Now I'm using view up, so that what I do is I wait for price coming back to the view up. I don't just sell because price is at my view up. I must confirm that. Like, let's say from this trade here, how do I use that to make sure that I'm on the right direction? First, I look at something called term structure. Term structure is only basically comparing the front month contract and the deferred month, the next deferred month contract, the spread within them. If the spread is positive, that's a contango. If the spread is negative, that is backwardation. But also backwardation and contango are also divided into two. We have with the steepening and flattening. Both have different meanings. A steepening contango is attributed to what? To a bearish expectation. And a flattening contango is attributed to what? To a bullish expectations. There's a lot going on there that I will not go into right now. So let's look at the term structure and see what the term structure is telling us about this market. The term structure right now, at that particular point, term structure steepening contango, bearish. Okay, now the next topic is we want to look at commitment. do we have commit around this date here? Did we had commitment? So let's check it from this point. Commitment. So commitment started around this point here. Around this point. When was this? So you can look at that area. Around date 14. That's when the commitment started. So in this market, there were no entry signal until date 14. Yes, you are right. There was no entry signal until date 14. Not just looking at this way, but looking at what's happening with what's happening with the data. There was no entry until date 14 where we see a sign of what commitment at that point. And also looking at what? Looking at this move here, also under volume, we have the same look back period at 14th. So meaning that Euro USD, if I was bearish, but now I wait until this pullback ends. It 14 when I see commitment stepping into the market. That's the when I know that now the pullback ascended. It's now time to engage with the expansion to the downside. Because okay, what I'm trying to say is that everyone knows how to define a trend, but only few knows when an expansion has started or when a pullback ascended. And that's the core thing that I'm doing here, like trying to point out when do we expect a pullback to end and when do we expect an expansion to begin, not based on just price that drawing lines or that, but based on real-time data. Yes, I made this by myself, so you will not find this anywhere. Let me just say the truth, you will never find this data anywhere. This is my making, but the raw data is available online for free. But now it's upon you now to take the data and make it your own. Like you won't find it made beautifully like this, so that you have a way of interpreting this data. No, you get the raw data. These ones like this, these ones are the ones you get. But now it's upon you. The volume is available. Open this is available online for free. But now it's upon you to now take this data to the next levels and know what you want to do with the data. And that's a topic for another day. I'll not teach that today. So let's go on in the Euro USD. Now the next thing, there was something happening on the Euro USD. I was expecting I'm expecting a pullback here for a very end to the downside, but now I don't see if market is coming back to my vol line, the view up. So I'll wait. Okay, let's continue with what we were doing. Now let's also quantify. Let's quantify this pullback. Yes. Let's quantify this pullback. This pullback that began from this area. Let's quantify it. When did it start? How do we know that the pullback has started and now we need to stay away and wait for expansion? Look at November. It's around November 30th, around November 4th, when this region here. Okay, let's go to that and we'll see it. We go to the dates. Around November what? Around November, yeah, exactly. The beginning of November. It's yeah. Count the next 3 and see what's happening. Cool. Generally, we are still expecting a bearish move. This is which is okay. Now look at open interest. Dropping open interest. If we are bearish and the open interest is dropping, what do we expect? We expect either two things. We expect a consolidation or we expect a pullback. From where? From these dates here. The beginning of what? Around the beginning of November. This November started at this point. Then we are seeing this evidence here that a pullback is developing. So we stay away from that market until that pullback ends. Okay, we stay away from that market until that pullback ends. Now, look, volume was dry. Volume dried up. Open interest dries up. Now, what do we expect? Just chill until we see it happens. And I think we have covered the year where it started around at 14. That's where we start looking for entry to the downside. Once we hit what the value here, the view line. From this point, we don't do anything. We don't do anything until we see that indeed we are seeing now the movement has started. That's now not gambling or not guessing, because we want to go with the flow. We are looking at, okay, I'm seeing commitment, I'm seeing volume, I'm seeing term structure. Now this market is supposed to move to the downside, not because I think, but because the data tells me that that's the direction. Now let's again quantify this. Let's again quantify this expansion to the downside that began from day 17. So let's go to day 17 and see what's happening. Day 17th October. That from this point, maybe we give it around that place. Let's go and see. Expectations bearish. You have seen a steepened contango, that's bearish. That's one thing that quantify the trade. Next thing is open interest. Okay, now look at this one. We saw here that the open interest momentum was low, and we want to go bearish. But now when we look at the open interest acceleration, it is accelerating. It was decelerating at first, but now it has started it has started acceleration at that point, around that time. This one gives us a hint that now you are seeing something is stepping in to support the move downside from that pullback. Volume remains average. We have what? Open interest. We have what? Term structure. A pullback ascended, expansion starting. So that's a way of quantifying pullbacks and quantifying expansion based on, but you must have an idea of the general market direction. Like now we are what? Bearish. So that is it. So that's how we quantify this. So let's also quantify this pullback, this one here. This one around it. When was this? Around it 9 October. Quantify that around it 9. Okay, 9 is here, so we can it this way. Mess up. Okay. That's it 9. Okay, what's happening at that point? Definitely you can see what's happening here. Term structure was suggesting what? A bearish what? A bearish expectation from that point. Now look at the open interest. Momentum low. And what? Decelerating. So it means that money is pulling out from that point. At that point, we can expect two things to happen from this one. Either a consolidation or what? A pullback. And here we had a what? A pullback. And now, for us to know that now the pullback has started and now the expansion is supposed to step in. We want to see momentum on open interest increasing, volume increasing, and also the term structure also giving us a bearish expectations. That's when we look for selling opportunity. It's not only about going here and looking for candlestick patterns, all those things. Those things last for a while. But if you want to see this thing long term, you must have data that support those moves. Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening. You must have data that support those given moves. So that's all for today. There's a lot of things that I need to share with you people because I've learned a lot. So in the coming days, I'll be sharing a lot. Yeah, happy trading, able trader out there.